The first rule of the hub was to never look lost, and Elias was failing spectacularly. Every frantic glance, every nervous twitch, was a drop of blood in shark-infested waters. He clutched the data chip in his jacket pocket, its smooth, cold surface doing nothing to cool the fire in his veins. The chip was his sin, his salvation, and very likely his death warrant, all compressed into a few terabytes of stolen code. The hub was a sensory assault, a vertical jungle of commerce and chaos. The air, thick with the haze of sizzling synth protein, and a dozen clashing perfumes, was a symphony of competing neon signs, magenta, amber, electric blue, that painted the crowds in strobing artificial light. Elias, a biodata analyst from the pristine, sterile labs of Gale Haven, was an organism violently ejected from his native habitat. His gray lab tech jumpsuit, meant to be anonymous, felt like a target here. His destination was a doll shop. The absurdity of it was a constant, sharp poke to his frayed nerves. In a district overflowing with black market tech brokers and back alley arms dealers, his contact insisted on meeting in a place that repaired antique porcelain dolls for nostalgic. Grav tourists. He saw her then. A woman leaning against a support pillar sipping from a bulb of synthcaf. Her clothes were the practical dark fatigues of a corporate security contractor, but it was her stillness that set her apart. Amidst the swirling river of people, she was a rock, her gaze sweeping the crowd with unnerving professional calm. Her eyes met his for a fraction of a second, and Elias felt a jolt of pure chemical fear. They knew. Vita Evolve knew. He was being hunted. Forcing his feet to move, he ducked into a narrow side passage, the roar of the hub dimming to a low hum. He found the shop, its window display a grotesque tableau of smiling, glassy-eyed dolls, some missing limbs, others with cracked porcelain faces. A small, flickering sign read, Madame Eva's Restorations. The air inside was cool and smelled of dust and old lubricants. An ancient woman with silver hair pulled into a severe bun sat behind a cluttered workbench, meticulously painting a tiny perfect eyebrow onto a doll's face with a single bristle brush. "We're closed for inventory," she said without looking up, her voice a dry rasp. "I was told you might have a rare silicate smile model," Elias stammered, the code phrase tasting like ash in his mouth. Madame Eva set her brush down with painstaking slowness. She turned, her eyes dark and intelligent, and appraised him. "The value of such a piece depends entirely on its authenticity." Elias slid the data chip across the workbench. "It's authentic. It was a biometric ghost, a complete synthetic genetic identity, custom-coded to bypass any security scanner in the system. It was the key to a new life for some wealthy off-worlder, and it was worth enough to get Elias off Mars forever." Madame Eva slotted the chip into a reader hidden beneath a pile of doll clothes. A small, discrete holo display flickered to life, scrolling with lines of dense code. She watched it, her expression unreadable. "The sequencing is elegant," she conceded. "A true artist's work. Payment will be transferred upon verification." A chime sounded as the shop door opened. Elias's blood ran cold. It was the woman from the pillar. She held a compact plasma pistol, its muzzle casually pointed at the floor. Two more contractors dressed identically flanked her. "Dr. Thorne sends his regards," the lead contractor said, her voice devoid of emotion. "He'd like his property back, Elias, and he'd like a word with you about your resignation." Madame Eva sighed, a sound of profound annoyance. "Your corporate squabbles are spilling onto my workbench, gentlemen. This is very unprofessional." "Stay out of this, old woman," one of the contractors snarled, taking a step forward. Elias saw his entire future collapsing into a single, terrifying point. A corporate black site, interrogation, a quiet accident in a recycler. But in the terror, a spark of pure, desperate clarity ignited. He knew the code on that chip better than his own name. He had designed its activation protocol. His eyes darted to the datapad on Madame Eva's bench, still connected to the chip reader. "The ghost," he hissed at her. "It has a broadcast trigger. A loud one." Madame Eva's eyes, ancient and sharp, widened slightly. A flicker of understanding. of professional respect. "Do it," she whispered. With a final, desperate surge of adrenaline, Elias lunged for the data pad. He slapped his thumb onto the screen, activating the emergency protocol he'd built as a failsafe. The lead contractor's eyes went wide. No, it was too late. The biometric ghost didn't just stay on the chip. It screamed itself into the hub's local network. Every security scanner, every public terminal, every guard's data pad within a 100-meter radius suddenly lit up with a single high-priority alert. Wanted fugitive detected. Name, redacted. Bounty, 500,000 credits. The ghost. Identity was now everywhere, a phantom loose in the machine. Klaxons blared. The murmuring crowd outside erupted into shouts and panic. Automated security drones dropped from the ceiling, their searchlights sweeping wildly. The contractors were momentarily stunned, their own scanners now useless, flooded with the ghost data. That was all the opening Elias needed. He kicked over a shelf of doll parts, sending a cascade of porcelain limbs and heads clattering across the floor, and bolted out the back door into a service tunnel. He ran, not with skill, but with the pure, mindless instinct of prey, melting into the chaos he had unleashed. Hours later, huddled in the dark, stinking corner of a cargo container bound for the sub-level maglev depot, his implant chimed. It was an untraceable transfer, not the fortune he was promised, but a fraction of it, enough to disappear. A one-line message was attached, a messy debut, but not without a certain flair. Consider this a retainer. Elias looked at the credit, confirmation on his display. He had lost the score of a lifetime. He was still hunted, still terrified. But as the cargo container lurched into motion, carrying him deeper into the guts of the city, he realized he wasn't just a lab tech anymore. He was a ghost in the machine, and in the shadows of New Certus that was a kind of currency all its own.